Hey, it's Chris, Legion of Games. Let's talk some board games. Let's talk hype. Let's actually go the reverse. This is going to be another one of the look backs. Where are things now, a year later, now that we are in April 2022? Those games that got the big hype, those games that got the big money, those games with the big names, the games I was most interested a year ago, where are they now? What do I feel about them now? And just sort of a look back, look see of where things have gone since then. We're going to be doing 12 games, so it's going to be a full ride. Tune in, smash the like, let's get right to it. Thanks for watching, as always. First up, we're actually going to talk about not the one that I'm most anticipating, not the one that funded one of the highest amounts last year, but we're going to be talking about Monster Hunter World, the board game from Steamforge. This list, these 12 games that I'm going to be talking about in this video, surprising number that I may regret not backing. There are very few things that I regret not backing on crowdfunding. I mean, you know, there's always, the list is much longer of things I regret backing, but the things I regret, missing. This was one I weighed heavy during this 10-day campaign at the end of April, because it's just not going to be widely available at retail. The Pledge Manager literally reopened and then closed on the 31st of this last month of March. So you could have got in until then. This played heavily off of the IP from Capcom in the first place. And again, the one thing I liked about it was they had more information about the campaign prior to launch, during launch, than any of the other, maybe Bardsong notwithstanding, Steamforge games that they had put out to this point. Including with that was the price. And more of the question was, I just spent $200 on Primal. Did I need both? Do I need both? Are they both different enough? Well, I mean, yes, they were different enough. They were both offering significantly different choices, mechanistic differences and differentiations. But I ultimately decided no. This one would be harder to get to the table than Primal would, so I passed on it, saying it was an either-or situation for me. Again, I won't lie, I was tempted several times when the Pledge Manager was open to get it. There are exclusives, and you're getting them at a discount. And so I don't doubt that this is going to be, if you can get all of this stuff available, it's going to be more. Steamforge has consistently shown us that that is, what they do. And again, it's just a question of, what is the final product going to look like? Is it going to be more Bardsong, which people are really seem to be enjoying, and Devil May Cry, and more of the Resident Evil? Or is it going to be more of the other big video game IPs that they've done, along with Dark Souls and Horizon Zero Dawn? And I don't know. And for me, I was looking at it as more of a sure thing from a Primal aspect that I would like, than with the Monster Hunter aspect, because I have no affiliation or nostalgia for the IP in the first place. So my hype was still probably a 7. My hype was still actually probably even an 8 while the Pledge Manager was open. Now I'm kind of cooling off and I'm sort of more 7 or 6. The other interesting thing I don't know about is estimated delivery date, it says, is September 2022. So I mean, they went full on knowing it wasn't going to be under a year. The problem I have is I don't really know where things are at. The last 3 updates, consecutive days, first March 31st, March 30th, and then March 22 are all just Pledge Manager closing updates. Pledge Manager reopening update in February, tweaks and graphic tweaks on the January update. The December update is happy holidays, tweaks and sneaks here on November 26th. Production update that all the resins had been approved from Capcom, but that was back in October. So we haven't gotten anything in the last 6.5 months or so to tell you how is production looking on this, because I just don't know. There's been literally nothing of significant value information-wise over the last 3 months, at least on the crowdfunding page. So now that we are, 5 months out, with at least a month, 6 weeks probably for shipping and logistics, even maybe 8 weeks, almost 2 months. You have 3 months to get things potentially going as well as wrapped up. It's not going to happen. I think you're going to be lucky to get this by the end of 2022. I would argue that I'm looking more Q1 2023 at this point. Again, doesn't matter, but just more of a guess from this standpoint. So there you go, Monster Hunter World. Next up, Marvel United X-Men. Ah, you backed this project. I did the one-wave shipping, so I don't have the core yet. This is my biggest crowdfunding regret, and it's going to sound weird. I should have gotten the all-in. I should have done what I did the first time around. I got the all-in, and then I played it all, and then I found out the ones I didn't like. Delivery update in the USA hub. We're going to be getting 2 such emails, it sounds like. I haven't even gotten this verification email. This was a couple days prior to me filming this. And so we're going to have it at some point, in the next, I'm going to say 2 months. I'm going to say I won't have this probably until June. Whatever. It is what it is. But my pre-hype was probably a 9. My post-hype is probably an 8, only because I regret not getting the stuff I didn't get. I don't have an Old Man Logan. I don't have... What did I get? I didn't get the First Class, if we pull him up here on the right side. I didn't get the Deadpool, and I did not get the Fantastic Four. Which means I don't get the Logan, and I don't think I got Storm. So, Old Man Logan. Oh, man. I should have just gotten it. I should have just gotten it all. I regret fully not getting the all-in. Again, it's going to be plenty. But this is one of my most played games. Most played adult, non-kid games. All of this cool stuff. The villains all bring unique aspects. The purple anti-heroes are even more amazing. The uniqueness that's going to be in all of these just... I need to stop talking about this. I need to make this part of the video shorter because, again, I'm just regretting things. Because, again, Fantastic Four was exclusive. Deadpool was exclusive. Deadpool's not exclusive, actually. Never mind. First Class was exclusive. So I'm going to have to pay the markup on the secondary value for those and Old Man Logan. And, again, I didn't, the dashboards and the locations. I kind of regret not getting a playmat, but the circular nature of the playmat, as well, just wasn't a big fan of it. Again, probably should have gotten it. Probably should have just done it. Whatever. I'm okay with it. It's a cooperative, lighter style game, which a surprising amount of depth and difficulty with some of the villains and the anti-heroes and some of the modes. This has a team mode with the blue and gold, but it also has a little bit of a campaignish with the Phoenix 5, I think, where you can go through with them. And again, just all of your classic villains, heroes, and everything else in between that you could ever want and more. Stuff and people you've never heard of, stuff and people that I've never heard of. For the most part, I've heard of most of them, but everything in between. And so, again, this is one of my most hyped games. This is probably going to be, again, to go along with the other pile of Marvel United sitting across from me behind the camera, a keeper forever. So I'm going to pick stuff up on the secondary market when it becomes available. That's me. Speaking of games that I kind of wish I bought too, Transmissions. This is one that people may not have been completely aware of, but it was sort of a lighter worker placement style game with a robotic theme that price point could not be beat. Kickstarter exclusive edition. Again, just something lighter that I think I could have used as sort of a port for my kids of going between station and station. And again, just something uniquely aesthetically different that is just something nice as you upgrade and build your robot and move a robot, not necessarily your robot, around the board. Again, price point was fine. My hype was probably a 5 or 6, probably a 7 now. It was originally supposed to be in January 2022, but if we pull up the latest update here, it is on the way to backers right now. Shipping has been, clearly shipping. And so you can go over to Vessel Finder and see where it's at. So this was literally about a week before filming this. And I would imagine people have their games in the next 6 weeks or so. So not horrible. 3 months off. That's better than the 4 to 6 I usually say in terms of underestimation. But as a different style of sort of worker placement-esque, I don't know what was exclusive. That's the only thing I think I passed on it for that aspect. Extra forest cards. Scoring ideas, Transformers. So there was enough exclusives. I'll probably try trading for someone's copy of this. I probably will. Standees. I don't need the deluxe robot minis. But either one, if I can trade for it, I'll probably end up trying to pick this copy up when backers get it in, maybe about 2 months. So that's Transmissions. Another one I regret. We're just going to do all the regret ones right in a row. Stationfall. Again, I didn't want the miniature version. I didn't want to pay for the miniature version, and I'm willing to pay the same price at a later date if I have to from Ion Game Design if I need to, as sort of this, from Matt Eklund, a heavier Nemesis deduction-esque game. 1 to 9 players, actually. I was wrong there. I thought 2 to 8 for some reason. You have to basically prevent yourself from dying and burning up in the atmosphere with this station, and you just need to know if one of your collaborators is potentially sabotaging you along the way. Creative solutions, morph, twist, grow with the course of play, and tactical freedom of being a secret conspiracy, as they say, with deductions about identities and motives. Um, I don't know what else to say more about this game. I just didn't want the miniatures, and so I took a gamble and said there's not really anything exclusive, I think, and I'm willing to pick it up at a later point with a lesser, deluxeified version. My only concern, and I guess this is probably more of the concern, if I'm being completely transparent here, I worry about how much I could get this to the table, because, I mean, this is more like a 2-3 hour deduction game than it is something lighter, and I think it plays better at the higher player counts, and when you got a player count up to 9, where really the ideal would be 5, and I don't have enough friends board game wise consistently to do this, especially with a sort of a meta-esque game. And so I was hoping that this Stranger Pledge would be a little bit cheaper later. And if it's not, you know what? So be it. I'll take the hit. I'm willing to do it from that aspect. The Mini X don't need it. The miniatures don't need it. Don't need the neoprene mat either. Although the neoprene mat might be nice. But this is one that I'm willing to say I'm looking at it. I have been watching it. I have been following closely, waiting for people to get their copies and waiting to see what it looks like when people have hands on. My hype was probably about a 7-ish, 8-ish when the campaign was going on. It's probably about the same, tempered only by the fact that, like I said, I'm not sure how easily I get it to the table. Production is currently ongoing. Mass production is going to be done in June. So Pledge Manager closed about 2 weeks ago. Take that for what you will. And again, production's going to be done in June. Ooh. So production June, maybe late August, people will have it. That's 7 months. That's a good 8, maybe 9 months after. Again, not surprised, just the nature of things. But one I'm going to be heavily watching when backers get their copies to see what it looks like and whether or not it would fit in not my collection. It'll fit in my collection. Whether or not it will fit in my playgroup. So there you go. Long Shot, the dice game. It's got some exclusives. Shut Up and Sit Down endorsed it. 1 to 8 players. Roll and write copy. I have it. I reviewed it. I talked about it on one of the other videos. It's a great roll and write. It's a auction-esque, press your luck-esque roll and write with variables that really seem to work, including how you get to mark off boxes on other horses so that not only when you roll the dice, the one horse moves, but multiple horses move, chaining them together in that sense. Again, the stretch goals give you all of the additional horses, not that you need a ton more. And the tracks event, again, just these things, there you don't need them. You could pick this up at retail and be very happy with the 24 horse cards, the 3 sets that you already have as well. So this one, I think, again, flew under a lot of people's radar. I looked at it. I remember it only because my original experience as one of the first games in the hobby I played was the original Long Shot, and I didn't like it. This one I really did like, and I think that people are going to be very pleased with it if you have it or can pick it up now. I think it's widely available at retail. So you can go check it out, and it's delivered, and everything you need to know, I think it delivered about right on time. So, again, Chris Handy. Perplexed? Long Shot the dice game? There you go. Now, this is interesting. AuZtralia, the big box, plus 2 expansions. I just had the chance to play this game recently. I got a copy of it. I'll give you my full thoughts on the review later. But I was not expecting it to be what it was. I thought it was more of a pick up and deliver, and I've never been a huge fan of pick up and delivers. I've always been a little bit turned off by pick up and delivers. And so I didn't give this one a fair shake. And I'll say that right now. And so what this is going to be adding with, because you're essentially building railroads and resource management is really what it is. And it's got a very interesting, unique aspect, again, sort of on the time track, because as you go around this track, the Cthulhu, the old one's timer, when you all pass it, then it goes. And then it passes you, and then you go, and back and forth. And so the beginning of the game, though, it starts down in like the 20s, like 22, and you all start at 0. And all of your actions take time. And so you move your thing across the time, and they take resources too, but the main currency is time. And so how you utilize your time matters more than necessarily anything else. I'm going to seriously consider picking up these expansions if they add something else more. The main game itself adds 2 maps. So you have different areas, and the way the resources get allocated and the bad guys get allocated on the board is very unique as well. I'll cover that in my review, but it's done in a completely different way that I think other games should adapt. Now, again, human player to control the old ones here. Very interesting aspect there. And then what do we get with Tasmania? Tasmania is a dual map expansion, 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. I would probably argue that I would pick up this one first, as much as I like the other in terms of a one versus all, because I think so far on my plays, I would like it at the lower player counts. I'm not sure I'd like it necessarily as much on the higher player counts, just because I get to do more at the lower player counts. Goes a little faster too. But this one was one that completely flew under my radar. Didn't have anything to do with it. And it says November 2021 for updates. Were there exclusives? Was it just a better price? Because $60 for 2 expansions is actually a relatively decent price. Here we go. Milestones. Kickstarter backers will not be included in retail, maybe as promotional. So a few extra cards of everything. Okay, wow. That's more than... It's more like a dozen or so. It's not bad. Where are we at in terms of updates? Oh, they are in the midst of fulfilling. North America are being shipped out right now. Yeah, so there you go. Not too shabby. I mean, about 4.5 months overdue, right around the usual Kickstarter over under. Again, this one was probably a 3, and now it's maybe a 5 or 6 for me on my radar. So again, it's a different design on things. Don't let the Cthulhu or the train tracks fool you. They are part of it, but they do not give you a good glimpse of what the game actually is. So if you have any interest in that resource management, especially from a time aspect, you should check this out. Now, this was probably one of the biggest Euro or worker placement style games that was in 2021, my father's work. I didn't realize it was going to be this big of a hit. Like, I looked at it and I said, this is going to be solid, maybe $200,000-$300,000. And then it got almost $1 million. So that's pretty impressive. Renegade Game Studios. Again, you're doing sort of a Frankenstein-esque building, but what you're doing is there's going to be like, I think, what did they say, 3 separate like rounds where some of your work from the first round carries over just a little bit to the second round, and the second round to the third round, and you're trying to build bigger and better as you go. Again, worker placement, not my forte, but a lot of people were very hyped about this one in terms of what it was offering and sort of where you were able to go as a worker, changed how you interacted, and whether or not you sent yourself or your minions. Again, just kind of a cool concept, and you have different scenarios that you're going to be able to do alongside of it that set the tone for the game differently in the first place. This game is not for me, but I recognize that this game is going to be probably one of the bigger hits when it comes out. People are probably going to really like this, akin to something more like Darwin's Journey, which is coming out soon. Or, you know, the inevitable comparisons I think have to be put out there with doing something different like Dwellings. Now, is it going to be as good as Dwellings? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this isn't my thing, but you just need to know about it from that aspect. Again, my hype level was probably like a 2 or 3, because this is not my type of game. Much longer, much heavier, just mechanistically not my style either. Now, it says February 2022. Let's see where the updates say. From within the past week, we give an update, and things are app-wise are working. I didn't know there was an app with this. Games have reached fulfillment centers, so you know they're going to be about 2.5 months overdue. So, well, maybe 3, because it says middle of May. So 3 months, 3.5 months overdue. Not too shabby at all. So we'll be seeing shortly where the hype and the hotness is on this one as well. There you go. Now we have It's a Wonderful Kingdom, which I believe has delivered to backers already. The 2-player version of It's a Wonderful World. And again, it was sort of one of those where I just recognized that I got into the 2-player games and I hadn't played It's a Wonderful World, so I wasn't sure about Kingdom. So I ended up passing on it. My hype was probably about a 6, because it was doing sort of this I cut you choose mechanism as well. And I believe they were offering a relatively good price for $30, and they were offering a lot of different unlocks that some of the criticisms in the It's a Wonderful World had received was that some of that stuff doesn't feel as complete when you don't have it. And so people are trying to always get the crowdfunding version of things. And I don't really know how well received this has been. I think it's been sort of mixed. Again, sort of people either really liked it, the fact that it was easier and more portable 2-player version, or people just didn't think it was quite as good as the other version, even at a 2-player count. Okay, We go over to Board Game Geek. It's a very, very, very respectable 7.7 right now. And that's pretty good. That's really good, actually. I mean, it's only ranked 2,000 overall, but it has less than 1,000 ratings. So uh, take that for what you will. 7.7 is really pretty good. 2.5 weight, that's a little weightier than I would have guessed. But again, I'm going to guess that you can probably pick up a copy if you want. Yeah, copies being sold here, Kickstarter, non-Kickstarter. 35 people have it for trade. So if you want to check that out, yeah, go ahead. There you go. Almost done. Two more here. We have Empyreal, Spells and Steams, mini expansion, Far Corners, from Level 99 Games. Only raised $100,000 just because if you wanted the mini expansion, you were only going to get the mini expansion, and they had this true funding goal of $100,000. And most of the people that were getting the mini expansion already had the base game, so they weren't going to buy the bigger pledge levels. Because the bigger pledge levels, although they were cheaper, because again, Level 99 Games, you're going to get it for cheaper on crowdfunding. I mean, it was still 159, 259, 119 for, just the base game with the mini expansions. Without any of the deluxe stuff, which is the higher two pledge levels. So 109 is still significant for a sort of a pick up and move train game. Again, March 2022, so let's kind of see where things are at. I haven't heard anything from them about where things are at on this. End of February update says that they're going to be completing production in mid-March. So then maybe 2 months, 2.5 months after that, you're looking at, June, July. That's not terribly shabby. Do you need a mini expansion for this? How much do you need for this? I mean, the deluxifications are absolutely beautiful. So it's just whether or not this game was for you, and I don't think this was changing anything. This is a game where I would love somebody else to own and for me to be able to play, because I, again, no idea of what it actually does mechanistically in terms of whether or not I'd like it. Sort of just like AuZtralia. I wasn't expecting to actually enjoy those mechanics, and I did. So this was another one that sometimes I feel like it's good to get pushed out of your comfort zone to see what else is out there and how you feel about it. But there you go. And last up, we're going to go with the latest iteration of HEXplore, the domain of Mirza Noctis, which was one of the first crowdfunding campaigns, apart from Waken Realms, over on GameFound, which raised $500,000. Again, it's a hex-based exploration dungeon crawl, and I believe this was the fourth in this series of their games, with a different theme, with more incorporation, with tons and tons of rewards and abilities to get, as you can see over here on the left, all the add-ons of 1, 2, and 3. And again, you can go through the volumes, all the add-ons, all the shipping timeline. What was the shipping and timeline? Let's check it out of curiosity. Let's see, here we go. Reprints, beginning of 2022, fulfilled in the middle of 2022. And again, same thing with Volume 4. So let's see where things are at right now with this. We have the April update, Pledge Manager Extension Manufacturing Update. Schedule has slid forward since the last update. Domain's productions are in production phase. Scheduled to be completing production in early May. So fulfillment July. I'd say that's still, with all the way the shipping has been, still probably a little early. I'd say probably August. Which, again, that's still only about 3 months difference. So if they can still hit that, that's pretty good. Again, hype for me. This is one, again, sort of like Empyreal. I wouldn't mind playing it, but I don't think it's for me, and I don't want to own it. So for the price point, I'd probably pass. But if someone wanted to play it and show me how to play it, I'd be all over it. Again, there you go. Hype was probably, 4, 5. Hype is still probably about 3, 4 at this point. Just, again, not for me for whatever reason. So there you go. Now we have Hellboy, the board game expansion and dice game. And this is from Mantic. It was interesting because they didn't offer any of the base game. People thought they were going to be offering it because it has not been widely available at retail. But they didn't. And so, I mean, it still raised $340,000 and 5,000 backers, but people were kind of like, hey, where's the rest of the stuff? And you just couldn't. It was just the 79-pound pledge, and that was it, unless you were the retailer. Which, again, was cool. It was sort of a dark horse, under-the-radar dungeon crawl game with the Hellboy theme, which people really actually kind of liked, and they're offering more with plenty of expansion stuff and extras and all sorts of cool stuff to go along with it, including a little dice game. But the question was, why not offering the other stuff? Because I think maybe it was available previously at their web store, but maybe not. I can't remember. It was sort of a weird thing that people were kind of confused by. Let's see where it's at. Production, March 24. Unfortunately, closed recently, the factory was, due to COVID, and Mass production copy is not even done yet. Okay. They're supposed to get it in the next week or so, and production will still finish by the end of April. Wow, that's really quick between getting the mass production copy and still finishing it. That doesn't sound right. Again, they say maybe July or August rather than June. I would argue it's going to be August, September. If there's no way you're going to get the sample and then give feedback on the sample and get the turnaround time in then less than essentially 3 weeks. Get the production done. I mean, you're making 5,000 copies here. That's significant. And that's assuming you're not making any extra-ish. So, anyway, there you go. That is the hype look back for April 2022, looking back at April 2021, where things are at now, how I feel about them, and kind of where things are at. Again, like I said, this was sort of one that I had some regrets on, more so than probably any other month ever on crowdfunding. So be it. You know, happens. Let me know what you think. Let me know where you're at with some of those. Let me know if you have any games that you sort of regret not getting. Because, I mean, I have plenty, like I said at the beginning, about ones that I regret getting. Those are much more common, unfortunately. Although I'm getting slightly better nowadays. Slightly. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Have a great day. I'll see you around. Nothing at the end here. Nothing.